promptly came out that Tim Walz was a radical leftist. The man who was supposed to win over Midwestern working class men for Kamala had mandated tampons in the boys' bathrooms and made his state a sanctuary for underage kids claiming to be another gender who wanted to castrate and sterilize themselves. A story so extreme that many did not believe it, but you must clarify, as your campaign had tried to do, and now you appear to be distancing yourself from that clarification.
What happens when a usually calm, Minnesotanized politician suddenly blows a gasket? That's exactly what went down when Tim Walz lost his cool after Megyn Kelly unearthed a little secret he probably hoped would stay buried deeper than his approval ratings. Imagine a man forcing a smile while his entire reputation does the electric slide straight off a cliff. Buckle up. This meltdown is way too juicy to miss.
The way the law is written, look, I've given I've given this advice on a lot of things, that getting involved, getting engaged, that's been misread, and it was fact-checked at the last debate.
From 2015 to 2023, which was the date Tim Walz repealed the law requiring life-saving care, 24 babies were born alive in Minnesota after an attempted abortion. Think of how horrific that is.
Before we go any further, hit that like button and subscribe. You're not going to want to miss this. Watching Tim Walz lose his temper is like seeing a middle school principal finally realize the kids never respected him. For years, he strutted around Minnesota politics like the dad at the cookout who insists on manning the grill but still burns every burger. The moment someone with a sharper tongue calls him out, the whole act crumbles faster than a Walmart tent in a thunderstorm.
Get to Tim Walz, who, just when you think no one's sitting at this table, neither she nor the big white blanket, can embarrass themselves any further, he does. She asks him, to her credit, about the carrying the weapons in war, which we know is a lie. He never served in war. He's been stealing valor for quite some time. And take a listen to this answer.
You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing the uniform of this country.
This is the same Tim Walz who spent years polishing his image as the folksy, down-to-earth leader, yet somehow always radiates substitute teacher energy. The kind who thinks he's connecting by saying, "Just call me Tim," while the kids are busy doodling mustaches on his yearbook photo. Then Megyn Kelly waltzed into his political living room, flipped on the lights, and exposed the man behind the curtain. And Walz didn't just get mad. He went off like a bargain bin fireworks show at a county fair.
Tim Walz, okay, Jen Psaki, she's a talking head, whatever, but Tim Walz was recently the vice presidential candidate on the Democratic ticket. Maybe you would expect a little better, a little higher in terms of the rhetoric. You would be disappointed. Here is SOT 27.
It's wild. Walz has spent his whole career propping up this Midwestern nice guy persona, but the second he's confronted, the mask slips. That calm, aw shucks routine morphs into finger-pointing, sweaty palms, and a meltdown straight out of a teenager getting busted sneaking into the liquor cabinet. If irony had a face, it would be Tim Walz in that moment, flustered, red, and unraveling in real time.
Get up in the morning and you doom scroll through things, and although I will say this, the last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. Just saying. There will be news sometime, just so you know, there will be news.
Look at him. So chipper. Don't worry, there will be news.
But here's the thing, this isn't new. Walz has a long track record of puffing out his chest only to deflate the moment someone pokes a hole in the balloon. Remember his days in Congress? He sold himself as a man of integrity, a bridge builder, yet his votes painted him more like a political chameleon than a leader. He was basically a human weather vane. Whichever way the wind blew, that's where Tim spun. And when anyone dared point out the spinning, he'd act offended, as if his inconsistency was supposed to be admired like some avant-garde art installation.
Here's the capper. He's as radical as we can get on the trans and children issue. He is Gavin Newsom with white hair. He signed an executive order that says the state can take your child away from you if you don't, quote, affirm their gender identity, and make sure they can get access to puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries, chopping off their healthy body parts. That's as radical as we have anywhere in the world.
And Minnesota voters, they've seen this routine before. Walz loves to stride on stage and project confidence, but it always lands like lines from a community theater script. The second he's challenged, the script flips and suddenly it's everyone else's fault. He's like the kid without homework blaming the dog, the neighbor's dog, and a freak tornado that somehow only hit his backpack. Megyn Kelly didn't invent his dark secret, she just pointed at it. And instantly, Walz's calm leader act evaporated like morning mist on a hot day. The secret itself isn't even some blockbuster scandal. It's his overreaction that tells the story. Watching him go nuclear was like watching a toddler try to flip a Monopoly board, only to realize it's too heavy. Awkward, embarrassing, and revealing. Real leaders don't explode when faced with uncomfortable truths, they steady the ship. Walz. He combusted so fast you'd think someone swapped his briefing folders for 5 espresso shots and a glass of vinegar.
Raiders were disgusting, but J.D. Vance was a vision. And Tim Walz really did indeed look like the bumbling knucklehead he said he was.
This meltdown also exposes just how desperate Walz is to control the narrative. For years, he's leaned into the Minnesota dad joke politician routine, thinking that if he just keeps saying, "ah shucks," and "golly," people won't notice when his record doesn't hold up. But the moment someone refuses to play along, the mask cracks. Suddenly, he's not the friendly Midwestern neighbor. He's the guy yelling in the driveway because someone parked too close to his mailbox. And that's the real secret. Walz isn't built for criticism. He's built for photo ops, ribbon cuttings, and softball questions from reporters willing to let him run his ah shucks act without digging deeper. The second actual transparency shows up, it's like someone lit a match under his carefully stacked dominoes. How do you claim honesty and stability when one interview sends you spiraling like a reality show contestant who just found out America hates them? And let's be real, it was hilarious. Watching Walz lose, it was like watching a balloon animal inch too close to a space heater. You know it's going to pop, but you still laugh when it happens. His face cycled through more shades of red than a Minnesota sunset. His composure vanished, and every ounce of that practiced calm melted into a puddle of pure defensiveness.
Left celebration of violence. Here's another soundbite. This one is still Tim Walz, but it's on Gavin Newsom's podcast Tuesday.
You got to respect people you disagree with, and you can't just dismiss people. This
How do you fight it?
This
I
notion
think
of
I could kick most of their ass. I do think that if they wanted to. I know I can go wrong, but I don't know if we're going to fall into that place where we want to. Okay, we challenge you to a WWE fight here type of.
What makes this eruption so damaging is that it proves what critics have been saying all along. Walz's political persona is a performance, and the real Tim Walz can't stand the heat. Strip away the dad jokes, the Midwestern golly gee, and the carefully staged press conferences, and you're left with a man who unravels the moment the curtain falls. He's not the steady leader he pretends to be. He's the frantic guy behind the curtain, yanking levers and praying nobody notices the smoke. And the timing? Couldn't be worse. In politics, perception is everything. Once people see the mask slip, you can't unsee it. You can only brace for the explosion when someone lights a match. The funniest part? Walz actually thought getting angry made him look strong. But anger doesn't project strength, it exposes weakness. True strength is taking the hit and responding with composure. Walz doesn't do composure. He does panic. He does red-faced rage. He does the political equivalent of flipping the chessboard because he never saw the checkmate coming.
Everything we need to know. First of all, Minnesota schools have dropped from 7th in the nation to 19th under his gubernatorial reign. He wants driver's licenses for all illegals. He wants free tuition for all illegals. He wants free healthcare. Has provided, not just wants, has provided free healthcare for all illegals. And as I said in the intro, free is not free. He wants to make Minnesota a sanctuary state.
Ideas of carrying these weapons of war. And my wife, the English teacher, told me my grammar is not always correct. But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog.
I'm in the classroom. My record speaks for itself. It doesn't actually. You've put a lot of lies into that record that you've been called out on by service personnel.
Let's put this in perspective. Walz's dark secret isn't one scandal, it's a pattern. A pattern of overreacting, of hiding behind a folksy persona, of crumbling under pressure. This latest eruption is just the clearest example yet. His resume is littered with flip-flops, questionable decisions, and inconsistencies that collapse under scrutiny. And instead of owning them, he lashes out, hoping no one notices the house of cards trembling in the wind. It's like watching a magician who's run out of tricks but keeps flailing his arms, hoping the crowd won't notice the rabbit died 3 acts ago. That's the beauty of Walz's meltdown. It wasn't just a bad moment. It was the climax of years of stage-managed image-making, insecurity, and bottled-up frustration finally blowing apart on camera. Think of it as the season finale of a show you didn't even know you were watching, except the writers clearly ran out of material and decided, forget it, let's just have the main character completely lose his mind on screen.